Welcome to Palatable Pulse, once again. This podcast is a guide for comprehending nutrition and giving those who are marginalized the knowledge they need to flourish. I'm honored to have everyone join us for an additional educational episode. And I'm your host, Disha Carr. One bite at a time, we are passionate about highlighting the facts around food, supporting you in making wise decisions, and eventually achieving happier, more nutritious lives. Last time, we investigated the amazing properties of superfoods in our episode, Tasteful Truths, which brought everyone on an exciting voyage. We swiftly looked through the research that backs up their position as nutritional powerhouses. Do you recall those heated discussions over the soluble fiber in the seeds of chia, the antioxidants found in blueberries, and the beneficial fats in avocados? We looked at how adding those nutritional stars to a well-balanced diet could enhance your fundamental health and offer you the basis for an active and satisfying life. Today, nevertheless, we'll be taking an alternative route and digging into an issue that is exceptionally significant to a large number of us. Drumroll please, food allergies. Prepare to listen to Glazed Guides, an episode that will help you comprehend typical food allergies, identify their signs and symptoms, and provide you with a helpful guidance for effectively handling them. As we review the most recent advances in food allergy studies and cope with the concrete details, we will address the life with allergies via the effectiveness of nutrients, and we'll be relying upon knowledge in the professional area of study. The goal of our mission today is to supply you with everything that you need to require a successfully handled and complex associated relationship with nutrition, even though we understand that at sometimes it can feel intimidating and kind of empty. We are certain that Glazed Guides will have you feeling informed, encouraged, and equipped to take charge of your own nutritional health, regardless of whether you've just received a diagnosis, are familiar with allergies, or are simply just interested in learning about this vital subject. So let's start today and start figuring out the puzzles around dietary sensitivities. As always, what could you expect to learn from us this time around? Let's take a little bit of a closer look. The first thing that we'll delve into is Section 1, which is a lowdown on lactose. Sensitivity versus intolerance. We're starting by cleaning up a long-standing misconception about lactose intolerance. Would it be a reaction or perhaps something else? We'll investigate the biological basis of lactose, breaking down or instead why certain individuals just don't have it. We'll examine all kinds of lactose intolerant, ranging from primary to secondary, and deconstruct the most recent developments in diagnostic testing. More significantly, we'll provide helpful guidance on how to deal with these indicators, explore enzyme supplements, and find out delicious free and dairy substitutes that never compromise on flavor or health. Section 2. Identifying autoimmune responses, extending on celiac diseases. As you're probably aware, I founded Palatable Pulse, this podcast, and grew interested in my own nutritional awareness due to my own personal battle with celiac disease. With gluten sensitivity as our main focus, we shall be delving into the different relations between the immune system reactions and food sensitivities in this section. We're going to take a little bit of a look at what triggers autoimmune diseases, notably how it impairs the body, and how it impairs the decimal interest tract, as well as how vital it is to adhere to a demanding diet. To help us distinguish between them, we will also talk about additional immune diseases like Crohn's or Hashimoto's. We are going to also look at different studies on potential remedies so that we go beyond merely just avoiding gluten. And then lastly, we'll be going through Section 3. Mastering the alphabet of allergies from IgE to FPIES. The intricate domain of IgE medicated allergies, which produce rapid, possibly fatal reactions, will be addressed. We will continue there though. In addition, we intend to increase the profile of fewer publicized but not less significant allergy conditions, such as food protein-induced endocritis system, FPIES, which mostly affects young children and newborns. From the traditional rashes to swelling to more muted gut relation systems, we'll be covering a broad spectrum of symptoms. Developments in testing for allergies and the ongoing quest for safer and more accurate tests for our diagnosis will be covered by an inviting expert. And then section 4, which is our last one, cooking confidence. Using the advice from this episode for living with allergens. At last, we will provide you everything that you need to require to be successful while managing allergies with food. We'll talk about things like cracking food packaging and detecting hidden allergy exposures is known as label reading. Number 2, implementing appropriate cooking methods to avoid accidental cross-contamination. And lastly, we'll cover eating out, handling menus and connecting with staff members in a productive way. To help you begin working in the kitchen, we'll additionally provide you with some delectable allergy-friendly dishes. So what are we waiting for? It's time to begin now so that you understand what we'll be dealing with. Let's first cover section 1. Going back to a brief introduction of lactose with the intolerance versus sensitivity. A substantial section of the human race suffers from intolerance to lactose, which frequently differing from considerably by nationality. It is caused by a lack of the enzyme lactase, which break down lactose sugar, which can be found in milk and other dairy products. Primary causes, secondary causes, including gastrointestinal damage or birth defects, may result in a lactase shortage, which is the enzyme. Individual indicators such as gas, vomiting, or bloating might differ. Knowing the distinction between lactose sensitivity and lactose intolerance is vital. Sensitivity spans more types of gastric distress, whereas intolerance is tied to, drumroll please, enzymes, lactase. Now let's move on to part 2 of this content, which is the section of detecting autoimmune reactions and the extension of celiac disease. So in addition to lactose, allergy reactions to foods, such as those that occur with celiac disease, occur when the human body is wrongfully attacked by the body's immune system after consuming gluten. Gluten is a structural component present within wheat, barley, and rye that causes celiac disease. The small intestine is damaged by this immune-mediated reaction, which limits nutrients from getting properly absorbed. In order to cope with celiac disease and facilitate gastrointestinal healing, a strict gluten-free diet is mandatory. Recent research has focused on the genetic aspects of celiac disease, as well with potential immune response modulating remedies. Cross-contamination should be avoided at all costs, and a celiac disease-focused nutritionist can be contacted for additional help. Part 3, exploring the allergy alphabet, from IgE to FPIES. Both IgE-mediated and non-IgE-mediated reactions can be markers of food allergies. Allergic substances like peanuts or shellfish can cause IgE-mediated allergies, which are conventional fast onset warning signs that include itching, bruising, and anaphylaxis. Different immune system processes are involved with non-IgE allergies, such as food protein-induced endocritis systems, FPIES, which often show up as prolonged digestive issues. Infants are especially prone to FPIES. Accurate diagnosis, strict dietary exclusion of aggravating foods, and occasional enphrynin autoinjections for emergencies are necessary to control these various allergies. And lastly, let's get into section 4, cooking with self-confidence, practical tips for managing allergens. Handling dietary sensitivities requires meticulous planning and adjustment. Always carefully read labels prior to cooking to prevent cross-contamination. Consider putting away particular cookware such as cutting surfaces and knives exclusively for preparing meals that are free of allergens. Research creative methods to substitute foods to keep your eating habits tasty and harmonious. For example, almond flour could be used as a substitute for gluten-free foods, for flour when you're baking, and flaxseed mood can also be used in their place. You may effectively navigate the world of food allergies and maintain varied and gratifying diets alongside knowledge and also careful preparation, please. Okay, so moving forward, Shelby Santin, a certified dietitian with expertise in food sensitivities and intolerance, will be joining Palatable Pulse today. Santin offers an abundance of her expertise to the discussion on allergies, all their types, and practical methods for controlling them. Santin was featured in last episode, Tasteful Truths, and will address prevalent myths, get into the most recent studies on allergies to foods, and offer viewers with useful advice on nutrition specific to living with allergies. Her expertise will be enabled to those who are in marginalized communities to make educated choices for their optimal nutritional health. Palatable Pulse wishes to express its appreciation to Santin for taking part in this key discussion.
When someone's first diagnosed with a food allergy, it definitely can be overwhelming and a little scary to start trying to build a safe and balanced diet without feeling limited or discouraged. I think it's totally reasonable and absolutely normal to have a period of grief as you're kind of grappling with the idea of not being able to eat certain foods anymore, and how that may fit into your life and what kind of challenges you may need to navigate moving forward. I think finding a community or support during this time could be really helpful. I think when anyone's struggling with something, I think it's helpful not to feel so alone in it and that there's other people out there who can understand. I think either finding a support group for those struggling with food allergies, some sort of online community for whatever your specific condition is or the certain food that you can't eat, or professional support even from a therapist or a dietitian who has experience could be really helpful. This is why I'm so happy that you're tackling this on your podcast. I'm sure having, this to listen to for some people out there that may be newly diagnosed or struggling with food allergies, it could be really helpful to hear this and, know that there's other people out there who are thinking about this or who understand or who could even offer support. Struggling with social situations, I think, is very common when you're struggling with a food allergy. It can bring up, a lot of stress, and it can be really hard to speak up and advocate for accommodations or ask questions when needed. And I think the most important thing is actually practicing these situations as much as possible. It can help someone start to feel more empowered and confident in being able to advocate for what sort of dietary accommodations they may need. And this can start by going out with a small trusted group or with your family members to a known restaurant and to kind of practicing asking about menu preparation or whatever you need. I think, as I mentioned in the last question, it's finding community who are either experiencing similar challenges can feel really validating and you can get tips from. I know I had a client who has celiac disease and she was in a bunch of Facebook groups for travel recommendations for specific countries or Disney World or whatever. She was able to find some blogs of people who, have celiac disease and then traveled to certain areas and were giving tips and, also explaining which sorts of countries or different places actually accommodate that restriction the best. So I feel like finding things like that could be really helpful if you are, traveling or going to be outside of your normal food situation. Yeah, I think caregivers and other allies can help to support children or adults with food allergies. I think, just providing that support and validation of any feelings that might be coming up when navigating food allergies can be really helpful. I think there's a lot, that comes up. Like it's hard to feel different than your peers or feel like there's just this added challenge that comes up when you're trying to nourish your body or to get all the nutrients you need. Grocery shopping can take more time. Eating out can feel more stressful. So having someone to kind of talk about that with or to, vent to about it can be, I think, really beneficial and helpful emotionally. And I think socially, supports, caregivers or just friends can help with the advocating process for accommodations when needed. I think it can be really hard when you're going to a new restaurant or someone can sort of feel uncomfortable about speaking up or, getting something different than everyone else. So if supports can sort of help with that process, I think that's always helpful. Or even if you're hosting a, party or event where you have a friend or family member with an allergy or restriction, it's kind of asking them what you can do to make sure they have food available to them, or giving them a heads up on the menu so that they can maybe choose to bring something else or something similar, I think is always really nice and a good support from a social standpoint. I think nutritionally, I think, it kind of depends on the specific allergy or restriction and what may be needed. I think if there are many, many allergies present and it really is difficult to eat from all the food groups or eat enough, I think working with a dietitian to help navigate a personalized nutrition plan could be really helpful. So, that might be an option for support if it's to the point where it really is difficult to know what to eat or if, options are very, very limited. I would recommend that. Thank you so much for having me on as a guest again. I really enjoyed talking about some of these topics, and anyone's always welcome to reach out with questions or looking for different resources. I'm always happy to be a resource to your listeners.
Well, thank you, Shelby. Santin's insight is truly beneficial and applicable to our audience. Her research clarified the complicated nature of allergies to foods and offered by beneficial resources for their effective treatment throughout the awareness and diet. Participants who want personalized advice and assistance are encouraged to speak with individual medical professionals, including Shelby. Now, let's transition to some helpful products that may come of use to aid in controlling allergies. It can be quite challenging to cope with food allergies, but luckily, technological advances and innovation have provided people with several incredible resources to help them make educated choices at the supermarket and elsewhere. Let's explore some of the materials that are readily available. Let's start off with Allergy Amulet. With the assistance of this advanced transportable gadget, you may test food prior to eating it and quickly to find any food allergies. The amulet examines what you eat for the existence of specified allergies by just sticking a test strip and swabbing it. It leads to a further level of reliability, especially when going out or testing novel foods. However, it doesn't take the place of carefully reading labels. That should always come as a priority for firsthand. For parents or those with chronic allergies, this is a terrific choice. Moving on, let's now discuss Fig. By quickly recognizing materials that can trigger sensitivities and reading proper barcodes, the popular smartphone application Fig supports you in navigating your local supermarket. By customizing the mobile app with your particular dietary needs and allergies, you can scan labels far more quickly and easily. Furthermore, they have an integrated platform where you can ask experts or nutritionist questions. And last, but certainly not least, visit Spoken for cooking ideas and organizing meals. A social media site committed to the community of individuals with food allergies is known as Spoken. You're going to discover item recommendations, safe cooking ideas, and evaluations of restaurants that have been independently validated from other people with food allergies. Even others who suffer with similar food allergies to yours can connect with you. It's an excellent method to feel motivated on your way while discovering exciting opportunities. Going forward, I acknowledge that coping with food allergies may at times seem stressful, but bear in mind that knowledge really is power. It's about equipping yourself with expertise, speaking up for your well-being, and constructing a way that sustains both your body and your soul. I would like to leave you with a few motivational quotes to think about as we come to an end. Our first quote is, "The greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude," by Oprah Winfrey. Since it stresses our own inner strength, I admire this expression. An alteration in attitude is required for controlling your own food allergies. The objective is to take steps to develop an eating plan that suits you, not enforces your limitations. Your objective is to take ownership over your wellness journey and tackle it with problem solving and a positive mentality. In this moment, adjusting the way that you think enables us to be our best selves. Here's our second quote and our final one. "Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world." Howard Zinn. This acts as a reminder that even small modifications to our eating habits or the manner in which we encourage allergy education can have a profound effect. You have the most impact since you provide yourself for the loved ones, the community at large, and yourself. You're contributing to a broader movement and acceptance and comprehension each time you study those food labels, ask questions at your restaurant, and impart your expertise to others. Bear in mind that you aren't traveling alone on this journey and that everything around you is really just a consequence of what you do every day. Now, empowered with the information that we've covered today, go ahead. Keep fighting for yourself. One delectable pulse at a time, let's work towards making the entire globe more accepting and allergy conscious. We also wanted to provide you with an overview of what we'll be going over on next episode of Palatable Pulse, nevertheless, before we leave. Prepare to get your hands dirty as we'll be talking about our new episode, drumroll please, homemade health. We're going to examine the fascinating and sometimes overlooked connection that exists between what you consume and how you feel emotionally. Yes, you're right. We are digging deeply into the relationship between nutrition and psychological wellness, or, aka as I like to call it, the gut-brain relationship. We'll address the various specific meals and lifestyle choices that might affect your psychological wellness, state of mind, and lastly, memory retention. We will investigate the various manners in which the food that you eat directly contributes to or detracts from your psychological well-being. Experts from the field of psychology and health will be invited to share advanced discoveries along with helpful tips regarding how to properly take care of both your mind and your body. Our objective is to offer you the information that you require at healthy and educated choices while creating a healthier, more enjoyable version of yourself. Therefore, be sure to check in to Palatable Pulse Homemade Health the next time to discover how the influence of a balanced diet can boost your mood and cognitive function. As a way to wrap off this particular episode, I'm going to present our daily poem of the day that encapsulates our difficulties and determination associated with having a food allergy. Listen carefully. This one is titled, The Careful Plate. A label's list, a whispered dread, invisible threat on daily bread. The careful plate, a studied art to shield the body, guide the heart. The skins revolt, a gulf campaign, a hidden foe, a silent taint. Yet in destruction wisdom grows, a deeper knowledge softly flows. So breathe in this fragile space, embrace the strength, the inner grace. For even bound, the spirit flies, in allergies, a new life flies. Our adventure today proved to be interesting and perhaps uplifting. From the deep poetry at the finale of the program to the wise sayings, the spotlights in the podcasts with the products and allergy-friendly options to an incredible, informative interview with Shelby Santin. Over everything, I trust that this particular episode of Palatable Pulse encouraged you to take control of your own personal nutritional health with allergies. Keep in mind that knowledge truly is power. I cannot stress that enough. Whether you've recently gotten a new allergy diagnosis, or simply assisting somebody who has one, or are attempting to get to know your body a little bit more. Never be hesitant to speak up for your wellness. Request guidance from approved dietitians and test out allergy-friendly products. Keep in mind that your biggest asset is your health. Health is wealth. Never forget that. And kindly join the discussion. We have a live Q&A running right now that you can find on our website. Additionally, visit Shelby's website at shelbysantinnutrition.com and her Instagram at shelbysantinnutrition to get in touch with an encouraging network while discovering other allergy-friendly meals and details. We truly value your desire to participate in Palatable Pulse. Next time, we'll be having another episode committed to providing you the beneficial knowledge you've earned. In the meantime, exercise caution, handle your body with compassion, and fuel your pulse. I will see you all next time.